Hi again. Today we're going to be talking about Leafy in this fine year of 2018. And that might have been the single saddest sentence to come out of my mouth since I professed my love to a cactus. To any of you who might not know who Leafy is, which it's been long enough since his channel's death that might actually be a plausible scenario, he was a commentary YouTuber with over 4 million subscribers who had his peak back in mid-2016. He uploaded daily and would pretty safely average 1 million views per video, and he was getting hundreds of thousands of new subscribers per month. And if you take a look at his social blade, then you can see pretty easily that at some point that just all stopped. Leafy's subscriber gains went negative, his views dropped significantly, and overall he just faded into irrelevancy. Many of you who do know who Leafy is might only know him because you got a content cop on him from idubbbz. That content cop being the most viewed video on idubbbz's main channel. And that video also has my nomination to be preserved inside the National Film Registry. Now, a lot of people actually attribute the death of Leafy's channel to the content cop that idubbbz made on him. And while that video definitely didn't help Leafy, I don't think it was the sole reason for his fall, or even the main reason that Leafy fell off of his grease-covered throne. If you look at the upload date of the content cop, you'll see that it wasn't uploaded until September 12th, 2016. And if you look at Leafy's social blade, you'll see that his subscriber gains were getting significantly smaller and smaller ever since July of that same year. Though admittedly, he was still growing, just not nearly as fast as he was prior. And it's likely that his months of exponential growth were just one spike that could have been replicated in the future if it weren't for a couple things that happened while those numbers were winding down. The most obvious of those things happening is one that we've already mentioned, the content cop. It's the thing that arguably made Leafy's already decreasing gains go negative, thanks to both his and idubbbz's strong crossover audience. The second is actually also something in relation to the content cop. That being Leafy's response to the content cop, which if you haven't seen it, consider yourself lucky. It was absolutely awful at the time, and nowadays it serves as the template standard as to how absolutely not to respond to a content cop. Sadly, that template was not used by many of the future victims of content cops. Rice Man dinner plan?
Is idubbbz deleting his videos, hiding something from us because he's insecure about his old videos?
Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, Deus Ex, Human Defiance, 8-bit.
I always saw idubbbz as like this, badass roaster guy, but like, I guess after all, he's just a sweet, innocent gamer. I'm not bringing up all these old clips to make him look bad. I'm just trying to say everyone changes as a person, and as a content creator, your content is gonna change with your personality, right?
When you missed the point, lol! Anyways, back on topic. Among the things that Leafy did in his response, which got him lampooned by idubbbz fans and former fans of his alike, is that he made fun of Ian's older videos, which idubbbz had already joked about in videos previous to that, making it a moot and pretty redundant point.
He pretty much wiped his channel ever since the day that Mr. Savage himself went from making videos like fucking this.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Ah, Slenderman Gangnam Style. Excellent choice. Damn, Leafy, you got baited. I actually played that video in all my other videos because I actually like it a lot. This is the part of the video where I have to do Leafy's job for him because he's so incompetent. You see, he went for Slenderman Gangnam Style because either he doesn't want to do research at all or he was on a time crunch, and you could have looked for the Cyber Matrix series. That would have been much more hard-hitting in a video.
Completely missing the point of a bunch of stuff that idubbbz had said about him by A, doing those same things that he was being criticized for in his response video.
The anti-insult is great. It's for people who want to make sort of crude remarks in their online videos but don't really want any backlash.
Driving a car, the Minecraft logo in the corner, his fucking teeth. Nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today.
Nah, I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today after showing a picture of his fucked up snaggletooth to my millions of followers.
Now, I'm assuming you guys are probably thinking at this point in time, I'm probably gonna try to roast him, right? Make fun of his forehead. Maybe his video itself, maybe the overuse of irony and deadpan humor, maybe some sarcastic remarks actually roasting him, but not really roasting him like I'm doing right now. But nah, I'm not. I got enough drama on my hands right now with FouseyTube and Onision.
Or completely misinterpreting some of the stuff that idubbbz did in his content cop.
This sucks. Well shit, at least I'm not the only one that's insecure, right? Because according to Dr. Savage here, a lot of people that live on the planet Earth are really insecure about themselves, and I really don't even think they know that they're insecure themselves. For example, all these motherfuckers right here.
You're showing people that you are extremely self-conscious.
This thing flies around everywhere. Also by using some of the advice that idubbbz gave him in his response video. For instance, he shortened down his transition slides from 8 seconds long, despite also trying to act like it wasn't a big deal in the first place and that it was a completely stupid criticism from idubbbz, despite actually implementing that criticism in his response.
Another thing that you harped on was the transition slides.
For having a music clip transition for 3 fucking seconds too long.
And you've now shortened your transitions, and they're going to stay short, or they're going to disappear entirely. Yeah, you're not going to bring back the 10-second slides. And if you do, that sucks for you because your video is now shittier.
3 fucking seconds too long. What does this guy have, fucking AIDS or some shit? What the f-
And just generally not doing such great research. It's good fun, man. I said it in previous videos, and I'll say it again, but Leafy was a damn near perfect target for a content cop. There was a lot of stuff to criticize in his videos, and he was too stupid to fight back. Now, while the content cop plus Leafy's abysmal response helped his numbers go negative, I don't think those two things alone would have been enough to push his channel to the point that it's at right now. Sure, his numbers would have been down to how short Chris Ray Gun is for a little bit, and he might have struggled to ever get that same growth that he had earlier in the year again, because if we look at someone like Ricegum, his numbers went negative momentarily as well, but he recovered from that pretty much entirely. He's about to hit 10 million subscribers. Though to be fair, the crossover audience for Ricegum and idubbbz isn't nearly as strong as the crossover audience is for Leafy and idubbbz. Now the trend that happened after the Leafy content cop is much the same as the ones that happened after modern content cops. A bunch of leeching commentator scum like the one that stands right here before you in this video came out of the woodwork talking about Leafy and the topic as a whole, trashing or goofing on him, rebuking his general arguments, to capitalize on the trend. Now while I wasn't making videos on that specific trend back then, the ideology is pretty much the same as it is now. The difference between Leafy being the trending punching bag and a bunch of people who were punching bags after him is that Leafy was somebody who was a target who was so insular in the commentary community. So a lot of people who ended up making videos on Leafy were people who had actual interactions with him. And those interactions had a net sum of, not good. Both in that the interactions were generally negative and that they were gonna come back to bite Leafy in his tight ass. Namely, this guy called Hey Watch Your Mouth, or Nick Cash, released a video on Leafy that got over 1 million views before it was deleted. It was titled The Real Leafy Is Here, and he talked about his personal experience with Leafy, and that Leafy had used him and other people to get his videos made for him, and just in general get shit done for him so Leafy didn't have to, without giving them what he promised as compensation, like a proper shout out or exposure, or severely underpaying them for the work that they did. In Nick's case specifically, only giving him $20 for hours of editing work. Give me $20, no liking in the club! All of this is old news at this point, and I'm sure that a lot of you already knew about it prior to me reiterating it over a year after the fact, but their importance is that they were all contributing factors to Leafy's ruin. Like I've said in previous videos, content cops don't really end careers. Well, except for Jinx, he's fucking dead. But in my Why You Can't Win Against the Content Cop video, I said that content cops can act as a catalyst for an explosion of hate to come out for one person in droves. And it's the backlash against that person that the content cop creates the opening for that really has the potential to do long-term damage. But then again, it's only really happened like that with Leafy because of the ways he had treated people behind the scenes, and how legitimate new information was able to be released during that Leafy hate trend for a while, where Leafy was genuinely being exposed. And the people releasing that information were able to do so with a relative sense of safety because of the shield that idubbbz had created with the content cop. So in short, do I think that the content cop ruined Leafy? No, I don't think it was the final nail in his coffin, but at the same time, I don't think Leafy would have been ended the way he was without it. And to be fair, he is still kicking somewhat. Even though he hasn't uploaded in 2 months, before he stopped, he was still making decent views. The videos he uploaded post-content cop were very much the same style as they were before that, and while the views he was getting were anywhere from 1/2 to 1/10 of what he was originally getting, it was still hundreds of thousands of views. I think the reason that Leafy faded away into obscurity was because of all the things that happened happening the way they did and in the order that they did, creating a perfect climate for Leafy's channel to crash and burn, much like my self-esteem did in middle school. It was the content cop hitting him when his gains were already decreasing severely, and on top of that, all of the new information that people were releasing on Leafy after the content cop came out on him. Without all of that happening the way it did, we might be looking at a very different YouTube today. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe. If you guys think I missed anything or got anything wrong in this subject, if you have any thoughts, opinions, or anything to add at all, be sure to leave that in the comments below. I have a live podcast called Pullover that I try and stream every week. It's usually streamed on Fridays at 8 p.m. EST, but times and dates do vary depending on mine and the guest schedules. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Kwite for updates on when I'm streaming. The last episode had my friend Monto on it, and if you don't recognize that name, he was someone who I co-hosted a podcast with about a year ago.
Hello and welcome back to the Leftovers Podcast, the podcast made up of the only people who weren't already in one. I'm your host, Monto, and today I'm joined with the one, the only, Kwite. How are you doing, man?
It was fun catching up, and it was a pretty good episode in my opinion. If you want to check that episode out, as well as any of the other ones that have already been aired, they've all been uploaded on a separate channel. There's a link to that in the description and in the sidebar of the video.
You absolute dumbass! It's not the sidebar of the video, it's the sidebar of the channel! You've been losing way too much sleep playing PUBG. Go back to bed.
Also, I have a Discord server, and if you want to check that out, there's a link to that in the description as well. Anyways, I've almost hit myself with the strap on this Guitar Hero guitar like 100 times, so this has been Kwite, and I will see you guys next time.